and them telling me I would have to go get our van because we had gone down to talk to them. Okay, I didn't have a license, and I remember telling them I didn't have a license and asked them if they would drive it over. But I rode over with them best I remember, and they just followed me back home, so, or said it's not very far. I don't remember now, but I got the van back home. But I thought of that after replaying this because what I've been having to do is, let me see if I can get, when it gets over to about here after it plays through, before I start the next one, because the time lapse in between getting one made and getting it uploaded and the wait time, I forget, so I'll start over um, just a couple minutes or so from the end, so I'll know where I left off. And there was another section too. I wanted to add something because I'm pretty forgetful, the old woman that I am. But for now, we'll just jump back to this and try to continue. This is always more difficult than what I figure it will be because I've tried to type it before and it's like I'll have to backtrack. Oh, I forgot something. Or switch them back around to get them out of whack. But back to the religious side of this crazy story. Her older brother converted from this same bunch, and then like 1 or 2 weeks later, she decided she'd do it. Well, I don't remember about the church guys, the deacons, coming over to the house to talk to him, but I remember when they came over to talk to her because her dad, and the deacons sat in that little TV room, and I was in the dining room with the door closed. I was working on coupons, and because we shopped on the base and tried to save all the money we could, and like good parents, I guess. um, and the dishwasher was running, and it was pretty loud. So I just shut the door between the two rooms and went on about my business and let them talk to her about her decision to join the church. And then my mom was who they chose to attend her when she got baptized. And what that amounted to was she helped her get her baptismal robe on and helped her with her hair when she got back to get it dry and just kind of tidy up the room, I guess, when she was done. And we were out in the auditorium and watched. It was an occasion. And we didn't really attend that church, but we did for those things. And we let them attend. Um, if they needed something after dinner for one of the potlucks they would have, I'd make sure they took something. They didn't go empty-handed. And then other times, my mom and dad would go out to eat, and John would give money. I don't know if his son went that much. I just really don't remember because the whole focus, she kept it pretty much on herself. She liked the attention. So I don't know if he went to dinner out with him. He might have, but I just really don't know. And anyway, her dad would give her the money. Well, my mom mentioned one time that there was a problem because she had taken the money up to pay for hers when my dad went to pay the bill, and John had given her a 20. And of course, one meal was back then $5 or $6 at the most. And she was going to give it all to him, and did hand it to him and start to walk off. And my dad brought the change back to the table because she really didn't understand. And we had that understanding previously, but I guess he thought that maybe she had caught on, and she hadn't. Um, that that they didn't have money to deal with. They gave it all over to the leader. So I mean, it was like, what's money? Uh, Her brother wasn't that way though. Her brother maintained his faculties like a champ, but not her. And because it was homeschool, and because her mother had a real axe to grind with the government, and from what I understand, it was because her brother was killed in Vietnam, and she was trying to get answers, and I guess that's where a lot of the friction came from, was lack of cooperation. They tell you what they can, or they tell you what they want you to know, and that's it. Most of us know that. And of course, we want to know more. We want those details. But if they won't give them, they won't give them. So I think part of her dislike for the government was based on that. And so the kids didn't learn to pledge a flag in school. That was just something that out here in public schools we did. We probably even took that for granted all those years that we were doing that, not ever once thinking that in the 80s it would be applied toward everyone, that wasn't going to happen ever again, that had become offensive to different minorities. And I was kind of always shocked at that. Who would think anywhere in this country that there's just not a use for money? Your money's no good. You're not going to have money. You don't need to learn about money. Therefore, you're just dumbed down. I would call that one of the biggest dumbing down that I'd ever heard of anyone issuing their own kids. You're dumb. You're under my thumb. You're under the rules of this group, and that's life. You're not going to know these other things because they go against my grain, and because it goes against my grain, it goes against the group's grain, and we're just not going to discuss it. So the brother started running away because he didn't like it. He didn't like also that they would take part of his food portions were withheld from him if he did something wrong. And I read some of the rules. I've been all over the internet, as far as I know, different places that are public, bulletin boards, and different things I can find. And some of those rules, it was like, you don't covet anyone's pillow, or you're going to lose a quarter of your daily food portion. And so he was sneaking off and getting in the storage, or their stock up, their preps, and just going to town. Well, I felt sorry for the kids. And that's part of the reason we went shopping so much. We hit up the base at least a couple of times a week and bring back all kinds of food. And he even built special shelves down the basement for our stocked up food. A lot of canned goods and soda and whatever else. I don't think it was soda so much back then. I was more into water. I mean, other people could have soda, but I wasn't on soda like I'm on now. Um, it was coffee and water for me. And, but there was always a meal, you know. The meals were pretty much regular. The evening meals we had meat. If they were home like on a weekend or during the summer, there was meat at lunch. If I cooked breakfast and it wasn't a school day, there was meat. There was always a big breakfast. Um, Most of the time through school, though, because of our medicines, they were responsible to get up, get themselves ready to go, have their lunch either ready the night before or at least part of it ready because I bought them the chips so they could take chips in their lunch and this and that and have that at least part of the way ready to go. So all they had to do was fix a fresh sandwich and bag it and put it in there. Well, and then get to the bus stop. Well, she had to get to the bus stop. He never rode the bus because he just walked over to school. It wasn't that far, and he actually liked the walk. And um, she was a total another story. But it never gets really any easier to tell this story. Never will, I imagine. Um, it's just one of those heartbreaking things that has consumed me. Um, I know better than to become bitter. I don't want life to make me bitter. Because what good are you really at that point? You're just a stone in someone's shoe if you're a bitter, angry person. And I didn't ever want to be that. So I'm the reason basically that they moved in with us. John had heard things about what was going on up there through his parents. And his dad had sent a copy of a newspaper article that's somewhere. I'll try to get it up here pretty soon so that we would know what was going on. And it was just strange that his parents, even though we'd been married since '85, had never ever been to our home. And we'd asked numerous occasions for them to come down. And it was always first one thing and then the other, and they never came down. The only person that came for any length of amount of time was the kid's grandmother on the mom's side. She came down after contacting John and wanted to spend a couple days and did. And from the information that we got in the mail from his dad, it kind of put me in a tailspin. I really didn't know what to think of all of it. And I'm still at a loss for quite a lot of it, even now. That things like that happen in this world, and we just don't know. We can't get our mind wrapped around it. And I had the little vision in my mind of the kids being just dirty, raggedy, needy. Um, I needed out of there. And I said, well, why don't we try to get them at least for the summer? So that's what happened. And then they both decided that they wanted to stay. And then somewhere